And joining us right now are Dr. AWR Hawkins with Breitbart News. How are you, sir?
Everyone's got a
I'm doing great. Great to be with you guys.
Good to talk to you, Dr. Hawkins. There's so much going around the country, of course. The first thing I want to talk to you about is something that we talked about with a few people over the last few days, and I want to get your thoughts on it. President Obama's comments to the BBC about his biggest disappointment is what he hasn't done about guns. Do you think... we've had all kinds of answers on this. Do you think that that he'll do something and he'll try to push something through, or will he go through the rest of his term and not try any more gun control through executive fiat or otherwise?
Well, I think it's yes and no. I think if he can find a federal agency that'll do it, I think that's how he's going to work. Congress, one of the few things we can count on the GOP to do is shut down gun control. That's what I believe. And I believe, so you have Obama, he's looking for a federal agency, be that the ATF, Social Security Administration, Veterans Administration, whatever. Any federal agency is fair game. If he can find that, he'll do it. If he doesn't, he'll still try. But he won't succeed unless he can find that backdoor executive move, and that's what he'll be looking for. My opinion.
No, of course. And you've been writing a lot about this, and one of your articles, as of you posted this yesterday, was: does Obama think people should be allowed to own guns? Just the general question. Talk about your article.
Well, I mean, yeah, and it's weird, isn't it, to ask that question about a president of the United States. But in '96, John Lott, who I know you all have had on, he's a friend of mine. Sure. Lott said that in '96, Obama told him that he didn't believe people should be able to own guns. And if you follow from that point to now, if you just follow that point, follow him as a Illinois senator. That's what I do in the piece. As an Illinois senator, he opposed concealed carry. He opposed the use of handguns for self-defense. He opposed the legalization of handguns, period, as in possessing them. He opposed that. He supported a ban on numerous types of semi-automatic weapons. He keep coming this way. He has, into his presidency, he has supported assault weapons ban, high-capacity magazine ban, universal background checks, using the Social Security Administration to ban Second Amendment rights to people who are incapable of handling their own finances. What that has to do with the right to keep and bear arms is your best guess and mine. But you see the pattern coming. You see the pattern coming here, and what it means is when this man says, "I'm going to spend the next 18 months trying to get the gun control I've missed thus far," you can bank on this, that he means that. But as we said with our first question and answer, what I hope is he won't be able to find a federal agency that will be a vehicle for that. I believe the GOP is on him. Like you look at Representative Thomas Massey. Mm-hmm. Massey has been all over him to defund efforts to use backdoor gun control. So I hope the GOP stays on him.
And Dr. Hawkins, you mentioned about the GOP and blocking gun control legislation. I saw something just about that now. But how much do you think President Obama is going to try doing this through regulation, through executive order, through other backdoor? I mean, the Social Security thing is enough. It's like any possible way he can. I don't see that this is going to stop coming.
No, well, I'm with you, Pop. I'll tell you this, though. The thing is, for him to use executive order, of course, now this is if we go by how things should be by the letter of the law. We know that's not always true. But for him to use executive order, there needs to be an existing law that his order augments to a degree. So and I know from reading things, that's what he has attorneys doing. They're going through laws from decades ago to find any piece of law that he could augment in a way that it would serve as almost a new gun control in and of itself. Mm-hmm. But apart from finding that, he's going to have to find that federal agency, Pop, and I'm not certain that he will be able to find it, but I'm also 100% certain he's going to be looking.
Well, is part of the reason that obviously he's been known, I'm sorry, this is Mickey here, and he's been known to push for gun control. Obviously, that's something that he wants, but he's kind of in a position right now where his political capital is spent. Does that work in the favor of those of us that are in favor of our Second Amendment rights?
I think it does. I think, and I think this, that those of us, Mickey, who support Second Amendment rights are helped by the fact that a lot of the gun control advocates just simply aren't the brightest bulbs in the house. and take this. Mark Kelly comes out after the Lafayette shooting, comes out and says, well, maybe he bought this at a gun show. Maybe this shows the weakness that John Russell Hauser bought his gun at a gun show. This shows the weakness of our background checks. We need to expand them to cover gun shows. Maybe he bought it online. He's floating all of these asinine ideas, and within an hour of him saying that, the ATF comes out and goes, nope, he bought the gun at a pawn shop, legally, quote unquote, at a pawn shop in Alabama. So see, these people are so eager to pass something that they run ahead of themselves, they jump the shark, and each time one of them does that, they're so identified with Obama on gun control that it hurts him, and it helps us. So I think we benefit there, and I think you're right. They are all helping him spend his political capital, which is good for us.
Dr. Hawkins, there's a story from NBC Connecticut I thought you would be interested in, especially in light of the tragic situation in Cincinnati with the officer involved shooting. This is from NBC Connecticut. Willimantic Police, first in the state of Connecticut to use less lethal weapons. It says, for the first time, the FN 303 has arrived in the hands of Connecticut law enforcement. Willimantic Police said that the first in the state to obtain a less lethal weapon. They received 20 at no cost thanks to a federal program. This week, police are training all their officers on the FN 308 and say when used correctly, the weapon will have no long-term effects, unlike other similar options. When you hit someone with a taser, it locks them up, but they have to fall. Where they fall is going to be the problem. If it's on concrete or highway, they could fall on the guardrail, they could fall and hit curbing. With the FN 303, police say the paintball gun type projectile should stop the suspect while the paint or pepper spray inside marks the suspect or forces him or her down. What is just your first take on a story like that?
First take is ridiculous because it's one more step that an officer has to take. It's just like when people criticize our military under Bush because they changed plans. They had to change plans to react to an enemy that wasn't static. The enemy was in flux. That's how you win a war. The enemy knew that. We had to change. We had to adapt. In the same way, a law enforcement officer rolls up on somebody. I don't care if the would-be perpetrator is black, white, or green, whoever it is, when the officer rolls up, unless that suspect does anything other than comply, the officer has to be able to adapt to every second and every change of every second. You add one more step he's got to follow there. Put this on. Shoot it first. It won't kill him. It'll just wound him. It's just...
It might wound him. There's a lot of shoulds. There's a lot of maybes.
I guess my question would be to you, Cameron.
Yes.
Will the criminals be using them?
Life is supposed to be so valuable that we won't give this life up easily. And when an officer is putting his life in place of mine, which is what every officer does when he or she puts on the uniform, I need to understand their life is so valuable. I'm going to keep every unnecessary regulation out of their way so they can do their job, not only keep me safe, but keep themselves safe so they go home to their families tonight.
Well, Mickey just had a good point. Will the criminals be using less lethal weapons? No.
I just want to know if they're going to get like handing out paintballs and things on the corner now. Like, hey guys, here, we're just going to hand out the paintballs and this is what we're all going to use now.
Beanbag guns.
I'm still waiting for
it's ridiculous.
To wear body cams.
But it's so outside of what is real and so outside of the realm of reality that to even like you were just suggesting, Doctor, but the idea of taking that additional step, generally speaking, they don't want the officers to pull their gun unless they're going to wound them mortally. That's the whole point. So now you're adding additional steps that are absolutely not necessary.
Right. And see what he could do, and this is, Nikki, you just made me think of this, and you've probably already thought of it. See, this could lead to officers pulling the gun more quickly because, as you say, officers to this point are trained. You don't pull the gun till you're going to use it.
Right.
You pull the gun in that situation. Now they're going to lighten up on that. Say, look, you pull the gun, it's not going to kill them anyway first shot. So, you know, hey, I'm just saying it could lead to sloppiness on top of everything else. But the bottom line, just as with gun control, the law-abiding citizen pays with his or her life, so too with this, I look for officers to be the ones who are harmed, and that is a shame, and it needs to be changed
Love
immediately.
unintended consequences.
Dr. Hawkins, thank you so much, sir. Thanks for what you do every day. Thanks for your great work, and thanks for being with us here on NRA News, Cam and Company. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Great to be with all of you.